don't even think I have dreams now. I don't really have any dreams or goals.
This is Jackie of All Trades, a podcast that explores the multi-creative identity and the rise of the portfolio career among millennials and Gen Z in the creative industries. I'm Keturah, a DJ, creative, strategist, CEO, and self-described Jackie of All Trades with a 10-year portfolio career spanning music, digital marketing, and cultural strategy. On this podcast, I speak to people who have also designed their own careers and are successfully juggling multiple creative pursuits to understand what it takes, what they've learned, and how you can do the same. This season, I'm joined by writer, content creator, podcaster, and author Tolly T, DJ, radio broadcaster, TV presenter, A&R, a music label owner, Jam Supernova, journalist, writer, strategist, and director Nati Kasambala, and DJ, writer, artist manager, music label owner, and cultural curator Elijah. This episode is all about Elijah. You may know him as half of the DJ duo Elijah and Skilliam, the co-owner of Butterz Records, manager to Flavor D, Swindle, DJ Q, or even as a writer. In recent times, he's been reflecting back on his 10-year plus portfolio career with introspective doodles on Instagram and Twitter about the music industry. We've been following each other on socials for a while, and about a year ago, he sent me a really nice message, and it just cemented the mutual respect and admiration that we have for each other. I am gassed to have him on this podcast.
Hi, I'm Elijah. I guess I'll go in the order of things that I do. Like I write, DJ, I guess I do some work as like a curator, so like putting together records and shows and exhibitions, and artist manage a few producers, Swindle, J.O.A.T, DJ Q, and Flavor D, and that's a kind of mixture of the things that I do. And then some things just come up, and then I'll try my hand at those things when they do. So yeah, my thing is, I guess, like computers in general. I had a computer in the house from really young, just playing around with different software, messing around with the internet. I had the internet from like the mid-90s, which was quite early for most people, and got to play around with that. And I figured that, that and like pirate radio at the same time were like big influences on me. So I kind of knew that I wanted to put something on the internet, but I wasn't sure what that would be. Like,
okay.
Yeah, probably. That was probably like the spark, I guess, when like downloading and Napster and all those things were out. I was like, okay, I want to put something in. I don't know what it's going to be, drawing or writing or music or something. And then grime happened. So I'm born in East London. That was like the local creative, active thing on my doorstep. Mm-hmm. And it was something that you could get involved in. And I just got involved as a DJ quite like late. Not late, no, but it was already going, and then I started. It was not something that I just jumped on as soon as it came. It was like something that was like in and around the area. There's MCs, DJs, producers, and I started properly DJing at like 18. I could have started like 3 or 4 years earlier if I had the resources. Then I was writing and taking pictures at raves and all kinds of things I was going to, because a lot of the stuff wasn't on the internet. So
when you say he was writing, where was it going?
On a Blogspot. So there was like this thing, blogger.com, where you could just start your own blogs, and I was just writing on those really, and taking pictures of events and writing about songs and interviewing artists. This is like 2007. Mm-hmm. So that's what the original Butterz was. The Butterz was a blog writing about grime.
Right, okay.
And the name came from me listening to pirate radio and Skepta saying, this song's Butterz, this song's ugly. I really love the tune. And I was like, okay, cool. That's a good name for a blog. Then got it going. And then start writing about the music, sharing it. And then people didn't, it's not like I was hiding who I was, but when people figured out, oh, it's you is putting the thing on the internet, you're the one that took that picture. And it's like, you became like a familiar face to people, or a familiar name, or Elijah from the internet. You're the, because there wasn't many people writing about it. It's like 10 people. So people were happy to see their thing on the internet if you wrote something nice about them. I guess I enjoyed writing. I thought the scene was exciting. I was at university and I was very bored. I didn't have much to do. And that gave me enough to like be charged up creatively again, you know what I'm saying? So, and I was out of London most of the week. So I'd only really come back on like a Friday night, Saturday night. So I'd just go out as well. So I'd come in and it would be quite like a visceral experience of going, out on a Friday, Saturday, then back to nothing. all the way through the week. And a lot of the music they would play in the university, it wasn't into.
Yeah.
So I just didn't really go out. And because I guess that like isolates you socially as well. I graduated in 2009 and there was like the height of the credit crunch. And like I was speaking to my mum about like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to be a journalist, because I guess that was the language I would have used at that time, but of the internet, and DJ and make stuff. It's like, well, what is that job? I don't know, but that's what I do now. I feel like what I do is like just central point between all those things.
When you were like documenting, involved in pirate radio scene, etc., did you have like any goals or milestones for it, or you just in it to kind of, you were in it at the time and you enjoyed it, or did you have something in mind?
Yeah, only thing I wanted to do was play on Rinse and DJ at this club Forward. That was it. Every other thing that I wanted to do, I'd had to, there was nothing to aspire to in that sense.
Right.
It was like, okay, well, just do it. Like, okay, well, start a night because I needed somewhere to play. And the artists that were orbiting what we did needed somewhere to play, so we've got to start it. Okay. I don't think it was my dream to have a night. I don't even think I have dreams now. I don't really have any dreams or goals.
You feel like what you do is out of passion or necessity more so than...
Yeah, a bit of both. And curiosity, just experimentation, everything. And you don't know what is going to come back as well. So that bit is exciting. Like if you had some sort of fixed goal, like I want to get here, then you might get it. And then what? Whereas because my mind is open to everything, I can kind of like, okay, pivot, okay, change this. I'm not like married to any particular idea. And then it means that I never felt trapped by them either. It's like, okay, something doesn't entertain me anymore. I'll just stop doing it. And I guess the expense of inaction was I'd have to go and get a job if I didn't work out. So the reason why ideas maybe in the early stages move fast is because I didn't have a job. So I had all day and I needed to make money. So, but I also had like a long-term like mentality, and I had fortunate personal circumstances of being able to live at home. Like I'm not gonna gas people. Like, I was in my house until my mum's house until 27. 28, or maybe 28. Personal sacrifices and not discomfort, but made to get to a point where I can fly off. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't a distinction of like work and hobby. Sometimes it's like that now. Like some of the stuff I do is work, and then there's other things that I do that I'm just doing out of like experimenting and curiosity or whatever. There's no like necessarily financial underpinning to it, but then that might come if the idea works. So, and I guess maybe that's probably been a better way for me to have worked. But I don't know, maybe if I just ran like a window cleaning company, I would have been good at that because of other different skills, but I just never tried. So hopefully, yeah, I've got a while. And if I wanted to just run like a, zeros and ones type business, or it's not artistic, I probably could do it. I wouldn't necessarily get bored. It should be a different challenge. But the opportunity that I had being in East London, being like in this grime scene, all these exciting things happening, all these artists, was quite like, once in a lifetime type situation. So it's like, I could have gone and done a window cleaning company, but that would have been dumb because this opportunity was right here. Yeah. So it was definitely like timing was like on my side. The internet, grime, being in East, being like on Rinse at a time when that thing was rising, YouTube, and then Boiler Room started. Like all these different things are happening like literally on your doorstep. That was like, I was like in the storm of something.
How did you end up starting the label?
My partner, Skillian, that I've DJ'd with, we went to university together and we started DJing together, like doing a university radio show. It was actually 15 years ago now as well, which is crazy. And then we joined Rinse like the following year. And the artists that we were playing weren't getting played on any other radio shows and they weren't putting out their songs yet. So it's like, okay, well, let's make a label to put out the songs that we're playing on the radio show. So the label was supposed to be just a reflection of the radio show. Right. And then the nights would be hosting the people from the label and music adjacent to that. So I saw like labels like Hyperdub and some of the dubstep label Temper I was like, okay, if I just make a grime version of those things, or the things that I'm buying, there's still records at this time, vinyl and stuff. I knew where I could get it pressed. And then you just, okay, I didn't have a distribution deal at first, so I had to do it myself, literally take the records to the shops, like that generation, or the last of that generation, literally on pirate radio, distributing the records by hand.
Like take the vinyls physically,
Yeah.
go to the shops, ask them to buy a certain amount.
Yeah, which is crazy. And then that same year, the two main shops for grime, they closed. So the Rhythm Division and Uptown, they closed, I think, like 2010, 2011. I was like, oh, well, now I have to sell direct because I didn't have like a mechanism to do it. Then I got a distribution deal. But I was like using our own money to press them, not realizing that a lot of the labels that were putting out records too they had like a thing called a pressing distribution. So the distributor would pay for the records to get thing and they would take a bit more of a cut. I didn't realize this. But because we had paid for it ourselves, we were taking a higher cut and then we obviously able to pay the artist better. We were selling direct as well. So we were able to get the money back to artists quick. And it kind of built like a bit of rapport with the people that we're working with. So we're able to, again, it's like, because we had to flip, like it made us like move a bit faster. And like I say, build a rapport with the artists that we kind of worked with.
And then you said the extension to that was the club nights. Yeah,
so the club nights were like, playing the same music and booking the artists from the label and other artists. And we had like merch as well, because once we put the records on Big Cartel, people I want that logo on a t-shirt. It's like, bam, there you go. And that was the difference of like being able to scale up operations really quickly.
So how, in terms of like merch, because obviously you got like, what's it called, Shopify, a load of those like out of the box kind of packages and whatnot. Like how, because a lot of them sound like first time you've ever like had a record label, a distribution deal, putting on nights. Now you're talking about merch. Like, how did you navigate figuring out like how to create merch, how to sell it, what price point to sell it at, how to get it?
I just asked them to it. I was like, oh, whatever it was. I was like, oh, would this be all right for 15 quid? And people were like, yeah, it's cool. And then that was it. Like, and so I think we did like 20 first, and then they went pretty quickly, and then we just kept on pressing them, doing different colors and playing around with it. Boy Better Know was like the biggest, t-shirt brand in grime. I mean, they kind of like started that wave, and then I worked out where they'd been printing the t-shirts. All right, bang, there you go. I'll just call up the thing. It's like some place in Edmonton. Got the prices. I was like, oh, okay, sick. Like so much of this stuff it wasn't necessarily Googleable. Is that searchable? Or whatever, however you'd use that term. But if you picked up the record, it would say, oh, distributed by Cargo Records. All right, boom, I'll just call the number. Or if you looked in the label of the t-shirt, it said, whatever, printed by this thing. You're like, it's too easy. And now, I guess like now people would just add the thing.
From Rinse, you started uploading, obviously things are changing with technology. You decided you didn't want to be on Rinse anymore. What happened after that?
I guess the thing that was happening in Rinse at that time, was 2014, the kind of grime resurgence was happening, and Stormzy and Skepta and all this. Like the last show I actually did had Stormzy in it. But like all of these things were happening, and I'd already done 300 shows on Rinse.
Wow.
And because it was weekly at that time, I was going every week. And I thought, well, what's the difference between 301, like, at this stage? Like, what? Like, let me try some other stuff. I'd been there for 6 years. I thought it was, like, longer than I was at college or university. I thought it was a significant period of time. And I just didn't find it fun anymore. Like, and the next thing was like, okay, I want to get to all these places that are listening or tuned into grime and the music and Butterz and the stuff, like literally like put the nights in all these places. So me and Will Skilliam would, physically go and just do the nights ourselves in Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, Berlin, regularly, like every month. So that we'd always have, I guess, the 4 shows, then we'll do like big quarterly shows at Fabric and other clubs in and around London. So it was more like taking the vibe and putting it in physical places. That was a focus for maybe like 2 or 3 years. And jumping into like other projects, like I was DJing for like a dance show that toured like Europe and Asia, like in the theatres and stuff, like contemporary dance show.
DJing? Oh, sick.
Yeah, so through 2012, 2015, we'd done like 70 shows or something. It was crazy. It was a lot of shows. So I was doing that on top of running a label, on top of our own club nights, and then it just kind of, it's like, well, what am I on rinse for? I'm on rinse to try and get bookings. Well, I've already got things going on. Flavor D had come. We'd met her in 2013, and I started managing her then. So building up everything with her. So I need to put time into that. I didn't need to be here anymore. And it's good to make space as well. I think obviously you can enjoy it, but part of what those platforms were about was pushing it forward and young voices and new music, and so making space is important.
So fast forward to 2021, how did you go from documenting thoughts on paper to the Yellow Square?
In June 2020, all that mad stuff happened. George Floyd, all those conversations, and I just got sick of social media, I deleted it. And I kind of forgot about it for probably 3 months. And then I went to log back into Twitter and then realised that you couldn't, it deletes your account after 30 days.
Oh, is it?
So I was like, okay, cool. So I just grabbed back the handle, logged back in, and then forgot about it again. I was just like, I thought, I've got 0 followers now. I was like, what can you say to no one? So I just left it.
So that's the Twitter that you had for the last 10 years, from...
Yeah, so I had Twitter from 2008.
Oh, and gone?
Gone. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. But I kind of I looked at it, but there's other stuff going on in my life at that time. I just looked, I laughed, and I was like, look at that. It's the internet for you, innit? Like, jokes. And I just literally just closed the app, and I was like, well, what can I do? And I was like, and I spoke to friends about it. They're like, oh, I'm sure you can contact Twitter again. I was like, no. No. Let go. It means nothing. And I don't know if I have anything to say to those people anyway, now, at that time. And then, when I got into 2021, I was like, well, now I've got no followers. I've got to kind of find some useful things to say. So all the things that I'd been learning over the previous decade, let me just share, just things that are on my mind. And then just gradually they kind of built up. And then as DJ Jubilee said, oh, you should put this on Instagram. I was like, well, how do you put words on Instagram? So originally just drew on paper some of the ideas and then posted it. And my dexterity is really poor, so it's kind of scruffy. And I was like, okay, I could do this better. I bought an iPad, got the pencil, and then drew it with the yellow black thing. I was like, okay, that looks better. And once I figured out how to use the app a bit, it kind of got some a decent response. And then Julie had a new girl speaking to her, and she said, oh, she wasn't even giving me advice, she was just talking about broadcasting, and said, one of the most important things is for certain kinds of broadcasting is being daily. So being on the radio every day means Annie Mac or something was listened to by millions of people because they're there every day. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I was like, there's something in that for me. When I just write daily. And then I was doing it, and then it took me about 6 months to realise that I was doing that before. So I had a Tumblr called Elijah365.com. I was like, wow, I'm actually doing the same thing that I was doing before, but just for this architecture. And then I thought, all right, cool, it's daily now. And then just challenge myself to do that.
How do you decide what to put out day to day?
It was kind of most frequently asked questions, so things that kind of came up the most at first. So it'd be agents and managers and all this kind of back-end stuff that people have assumptions about, that my perspective was maybe something that you couldn't Google. So a lot of things is you can read up about what an agent is on the internet, but how about a different take on this? The relationship with it is back and forth. If no one read it and no one commented, it wouldn't make it interesting to me. It's when I get comments, I get ideas. People push back, people say something's rubbish or they don't understand, then it makes me dial it up, or I say, okay, I've got to make this make more sense, or this is not clear enough for people. And it's helped me become a better communicator, even for artists I work with. Sometimes we're talking about plans and doing stuff. And then they all reference something that I've already read and be like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do it like that because of this thing. And it goes 2 ways. But I don't have any particular formula. Questions is probably the best thing. Or working out, trying to work out for myself. Those are my most enjoyable posts. And usually they just come off the cuff. On the day, I'll just post it and then I'll just think of it, write it, post it. Maybe I won't look again at the app for like an hour. I'll come back to it and then just engage with what's there.
So in terms of like you've got this format now, the way you present it, share it on Instagram, share it on Twitter. How long have you been consistently posting daily for?
I tried to do Monday to Thursday. I rebooted at the top of 2022, so I took down all the ones from 2021, just like tidied them up, made them a bit more consistent design-wise. I think I've got 118 posts up there now. I skipped a month in April because I just had some deep work to do. Because again, it's one of these things that people think that's what I do. I'm like, no, I have like I have other things going on and like a life. And I didn't want this to take up too much time. Otherwise, it becomes not real as well. Like once I start just being a content creator for the sake of it, it's like, well, it's not what it's supposed to be there for. It's supposed to be reflective of the work that I'm doing. If I'm not doing the work, then I ain't got anything to write about. Yeah. So I had a break in April. I'm going to have a chill August. I'll post a few things. And then the rest of the year, I think I could pretty much do Monday to Thursday up until whenever I decide to stop at Christmas. I think it's opened the door of like people wanting to talk to me about ideas and maybe where their head's at or their struggles they're having creatively or in life. And so in that sense, I've had to be very sensitive about responses and just like empathy towards different situations, even though I've like not had the best years myself personally. But it's also like reminded of me of my like privileges and fortunate position of doing this stuff. Because so I had like really horrible experiences, not just in music, but I guess broader. So it's definitely like, I wouldn't say like necessarily softened me as a person, but it's broadened my understanding of the current state of the nation in a lot of ways. Because I'm getting like, maybe replied to like 2,000 people or something. It's a lot of people, man. And it does impact you. It does like some of the heavier stuff where like, you read that like at 9 a.m, you'll think about it again, you know what I mean? And sometimes, especially now I've been out in the summer, I've started to see people in real life and they're like, oh yeah, that post helped me do this, or I like what you're doing, or like I think it's really good. So it's maybe changed the way people behave towards me.
So just remind me again all the things that you're currently doing. Yeah,
so I'm an artist manager. That's my core. That's the core of like the business that I run with William, Skillium. I can like, let's say Skillium for ease. That's the majority of the work that we do. With Swindle, Royalty, DJ Q and Flavor D, then our own project, Elijah Skillium. Sometimes we put out records, like under the Butterz brand, but not all the time, just do projects here and there. It's not like a main operations now. And what else am I doing? Yeah, just little other like consultancy things when they come up or when something I'm excited by. I like just experimenting with Web3 technology, doing small projects in that space at night. There's something that's like my night kind of hobby experimentation. But then it's weird, like, because you make a little bit of money as well. But it's not about that.
Yeah.
Experiment with YouTube, started that just now. Just put out a few videos and just working on that over the summer. And I guess the Squares has developed into like a kind of design language. So I'm going to do a live show with like a kind of the lecture format of it, me talking through the ideas in real life with people, and it kind of like being mixed with music and kind of high level presentation of it. And I do occasional guest lectures in places when people ask. Yeah, it's quite mixed.
What I love about Elijah's story is how he's essentially built a portfolio career from curiosity and necessity, from simultaneously running a label and a club night and a blog and doing a show on Rinse, and now he consistently shares thought-provoking posts on socials. He really does have a unique and a full 360 approach to the industry. In the next episode, we'll be speaking to all of our guests and we'll talk about the role of technology and the internet, career-defining moments, what connects the dots between all of their creative pursuits, and the implications when one of your creative pursuits makes more or less money than the others. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at J.O.A.T Podcast UK for extra content. And if you ever want to switch it up, you can always listen to these episodes on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.